welcome to another RSR. Tonight we are recapping the Wildcard Round of the 2023 MLS Cup Playoffs and predicting the first round and reiterating the predictions for everything else of the 2023 MLS Cup Playoffs. So, we'll start with the Eastern Wildcard game. New York Red Bulls 5, Charlotte FC 2. Red Bulls got out to an early lead. They stormed out to a big early lead. Elias Manuel with a hat trick in that game. Charlotte got 2 goals, but in the end, Red Bulls played a really good game and got 5 goals. Pretty much just beat the ever-loving crap out of Charlotte, pressed them to hell and back, and made sure that Charlotte had no answers, except they did get 2 goals. But in the end, Red Bulls still did what they had to do. I was wrong about this one. I thought Charlotte would win the game. They did not. They did not. It was not their night. They did not play that well at all. They got freaking not railroaded. They just got railed. That's what happened. Charlotte pressed out and dominated by the Red Bulls 4-2-2-2 by Troy Ozan. How genius was that? I need to look into that, I gotta say. Western Wildcard, Sporting Kansas City 0, San Jose Earthquakes 0, 4-2 on penalties. Kansas City should have won this outright. The fact that they won on penalties is a bit sad, considering that it was 4-2 on penalties. But Kansas City should have won 3-0 outright. The fact it went to penalties is just sad, to be completely honest. They should have got this done and out of the way quicker and way easier than a 4-2 penalty win. But they still won, so I was right. Kansas City won the tie. I was 1 for 2 on my wild card predictions, but Kansas City does not scare me as much as they would have before, or had they won a 3-0 against St. Louis. So, there you go. That's pretty much all I think about that. Kansas City should have won outright. They did not, and they look kind of bad. They look bad for not winning outright. So, there you go. Round 1 predictions. FC Cincinnati versus New York Red Bulls. Let's remember this is a best-of-3 series. All these first-round ties are a best-of-3 series. Straight to penalties after 90 minutes. If it's a draw, the winner of the shootout is the winner of the game in that case. So, with that being known, FC Cincinnati versus New York Red Bulls 1 versus 8. Red Bulls will host the second game. Cincinnati hosts 1 and 3. For me, I got FC Cincinnati sweeping, to be completely honest. Yes, Red Bulls had an amazing performance against Charlotte, but Charlotte has a horrible defense. Red Bulls have a ingenuity of the way they're playing when it comes down to the 4-2-2-2, the 4-2-2-2. But I don't think that's going to work against Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati is a fraudulent team. But I think defensively they're pretty strong. I think offensively they still got Lucho Acosta. They got an MVP favorite. And Red Bulls, I don't think Elias Manuel is going to get on that type of heater unless he goes full Dairon Asprilla. But I don't see that happening. Elias Manuel is a good player, but he only scored 3 MLS goals before that hat trick. Or wait. He did score a brace against Charlotte the last time he played Charlotte. Maybe he just really hates Charlotte, but yeah, I could have sworn I read 3 goals before that hat trick. So, all year. So, yeah, we'll say all year. That sounds about right. But, there you go. I just don't see Manuel keeping up that heater. And Cincinnati is Cincinnati. So I got FC Cincinnati sweeping. They go on to the conference semifinals. Philadelphia Union versus New England Revolution. I got the Philadelphia Union winning a 3-game series. Both wins in Philly. They lose in New England in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium. I just think Philly is still better positioned to take care of this tie. Philly has an absolute problem when it comes to their locker room. They're getting rid of Bedoya. They're losing Kai Wagner. Their locker room is about to go up in smoke. Revolutions already has. Clint P. Yeah, that's his name. We're going to go with it. At least I didn't call him Austin P. You know, the college. Clint P. He's not that good of a coach. His system isn't great. He's their second interim all year. And things just don't look too great for New England right now. So, with that being said, for me, I just think Philly is the better chance to get out of this tie. It'll be a 3-game tie. It'll be a 2-1 series win. But I don't see New England having any answers or any real pushback besides the home game. So Philly wins to play Cincinnati in the conference semi. Columbus Crew versus Atlanta United FC. I got Columbus Crew. There will not be any Thiago Almada. There will be no Thiago Almada in the first match in Columbus. And I think that's a bad thing to have. They'll be behind the 8 ball. They'll win at home, but they'll lose on the road to lose 2-1. I think Columbus is better tactically. They've came together quicker. I think they have a better manager. Yes, Atlanta's starting to understand the Gonzalo Pineda system, but it's just not enough. I think Wilfried Nancy is getting more out of his Columbus team than Pineda is getting out of Atlanta. Had they had Thiago Almada, maybe they could have surprised in that first game and then won the second and swept as a, what's the word? Upset, pretty much. But I just don't see it. Columbus Crew wins to go to the conference semis. Then Orlando City versus Nashville SC. I got Orlando. They're the second seeded team for a reason. They're better than Nashville. Duncan McGuire's on fire right now, and I don't see why he won't be on fire in this tie. Duncan McGuire leads Orlando to a conference semi against Columbus. Simple as. I just don't see anything else. Next up, the West. St. Louis City SC versus Sporting Kansas City. I say a St. Louis sweep. I said 3 games before, of course, this wild card match was played. But here's the problem. St. Louis is better than Kansas City, and Kansas City will be made to pay from what they did in that game against San Jose. St. Louis will make Kansas City pay, unlike what San Jose made them not pay. St. Louis will rip them to shreds. They'll win the second game in Kansas City. They'll win the first game in St. Louis, sweep their way to the conference semis. Because honestly, I've lost all my faith in Kansas City for anything more than a wild card win after what they just pulled. I did say 3 games in the first prediction, but I'm going to change. A sweep for St. Louis. It was still always going to be St. Louis, but a sweep for St. Louis. Yeah. Next up, Houston Dynamo FC versus Real Salt Lake. Dynamo. Dynamo win in 3 games. I think RSL will find a way to win one. Probably the one at Rio Tinto, America First Field. But Houston Dynamo are a really well-drilled team under Ben Olsen. I think they are the better side. I think they're the stronger team of the two. And I think they have had the better season. Even if they are the home side. Yes, they are the home side. They are the better team. I think Houston, they won the Open Cup already. I think they got more to prove. Houston beats RSL, moves on to the conference semis. LAFC versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. I got LAFC. Yes, Vancouver is better than what they were when they played each other in the Champions League. That tie. But I still see LAFC winning both games at home. I think Vancouver will win their game in Vancouver. But in the end, I think we got a 2-1 win for LAFC. I think Denny Bwanga will have a big say in that. I think LAFC could do just enough to beat Vancouver. LAFC moves on to the conference semis. Then finally, we got Seattle Sounders FC versus FC Dallas to end the first round. the round of 16, whatever you want to call it. Technically, it's the first round through MLS, so that's what we'll call it because I need my views, because if I don't call it what MLS calls it, nobody's going to find this. So, the last match of round 1, Seattle Sounders versus FC Dallas. I got Seattle over Dallas. Every time Seattle plays Dallas in the playoffs, good things happen for Seattle. They just do. And I think we're in that same position where they're going to have good things happen. Seattle wins. They lose game 1. I will say that. But they have to win for Lodeiro. This is the last ride of their core. Their big champion core. Even though it may not be a rebuild. Still the last ride for their core. Rui Diaz, Lodeiro, so on and so forth. I don't think they'll have to face a rebuild like I thought back in January. Go back to the Club World Cup videos if you want to know more about that. But I think they lose the first game at home. They win the one in Dallas. They win game 3. They gentlemen sweep their way to the conference semis. So, with that being said, here are your conference semis. FC Cincinnati versus Philadelphia Union. I got Cincinnati beating the Union because even though Cincinnati is fraudulent, the Union have problems. Cincinnati get through to the conference finals. Columbus Crew versus Orlando City SC. I got Orlando City SC because let's remember the conference semis, conference final, MLS Cup final are single elimination with extra time plus penalties if need be. But I think Orlando City in a one-off at Orlando, they're going to beat Columbus. I think Columbus, they have not been able to really show off against the bigger sides. So right now, I think Columbus are going to lose to Orlando, and Duncan McGuire will probably have another big game. Western Conference, St. Louis City SC versus Houston Dynamo FC. I got St. Louis City going to the conference final because I think they're better than Houston, and they're going to be hosting. So St. Louis to the conference final. LAFC versus Seattle Sounders FC. I have Seattle Sounders going to the conference final because I'm just not convinced with LAFC. I'm not convinced with them, even though they could win a one-off tie. I'm just not convinced by LAFC at all this year. They've bottled some big games. They bottled Campeones Cup. They bottled Leagues Cup. They bottled the Champions League final. They bottled Open Cup. I don't see why things would be different here. Seattle has some, I wouldn't say luck behind them, but they have motivation behind them. That really helps. Conference finals, the Eastern Conference final. FC Cincinnati versus Orlando City SC. I got Orlando City beating Cincinnati because to me, again, Cincinnati are fraudulent. Orlando's the better team. They may not be hosting the game, but Orlando has the better striker. I think they have a tough defense. They have a very tough team, and Cincinnati's a bit fraudulent to me. I think Cincinnati falls to the Shield curse in the conference final, Orlando City to the MLS Cup final. St. Louis City SC versus Seattle Sounders FC. I got St. Louis City SC. They want to prove a point that they aren't fraudulent, that they aren't a joke, that they aren't a failure. They got to beat the big teams, and I think they'll finally do it. Once this match comes around, I think they're going to beat the big teams. And I think they're going to do what they need to do to beat Seattle and beat a big team to get to the MLS Cup final. St. Louis to the final. They host the final. The MLS Cup final is St. Louis City SC versus Orlando City SC in St. Louis. St. Louis hosts the final because they're the better seeded team. Oh, wait, no. I think Orlando has more points, but either way, St. Louis is going to the final. Top of the West, second in the East, but I think Orlando ended up with more points. I think they did. So, actually, I think Orlando hosts. But St. Louis, I don't care if they're on the road or at home. I really don't. St. Louis is the better team of the two. They are. St. Louis is the better team of the two. They got a great defense. They got a great press. They got good offense. I don't see why St. Louis City are going to lose to Orlando. St. Louis City will be your MLS Cup champions this year. There you go. So that being said, I re-ran through all my predictions because I have to, because the main predictions video did not do as well as I thought. Got a lot of impressions, but not enough clicks. Don't know why. So, I re-ran through all my predictions. If you want to watch the main predictions video, go watch that as well. Same stuff, same thought process, except you have the wild card predictions. But 1 for 2 on my wild card predictions. You got my first round predictions that we really went in depth on. The rest of it, not so much. With that being said, I'll see you within the hour for the live stream watch along of Real Estelí versus Club Atlético Independiente in the Central American Cup. We're going to leave it there because this video came out a bit later than I wanted it to. So we're going to go straight with a live. 1 video, 1 live. 1 RSR, 1 live. That's how we're going to do it. So I'll see you within the hour and a half for the Central American Cup semifinal first leg when it comes to Estelí Independiente. The last semifinal first round of either tournament / repechaje first round. There you go. So, see you then. I'm Ron and I'm out. Peace. See you later.